I think that made it all worthwhile commissioning Sydney Symphony to have a crack.
To do it's a Disney movie soundtrack.
I particularly like the use of the oboe towards the latter stages
who
there.
Who doesn't?
I want to know what the cheeky scamp is up to.
We could be onto it. Let's see. We'll stew on it. We'll sleep on it. Hello and welcome to the Carsguide Podcast, where we tear down, pressure test and rebuild the issues of the automotive week. I'm James, and with me are Richard.
Hello.
And Matt.
G'day.
This week, among other things, we'll look at the new model that will soon become the best-selling car in the country, top-shelf luxury Japanese style, and a much-needed shot in the arm for the Australian Supercars Championship. So stay with us. But first, Musquatch. Yeah, so to make more cars, Tesla stopped the Model 3 production line.
Right.
Yes.
Which seems like a genius move.
Mm-hmm.
They did that earlier this week, but apparently that's all very normal in a production ramp up.
Is
it? That happens.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've got to clear the bottlenecks.
Yeah, if you've got to retool, as
all
they
that
say.
sort of stuff. So nothing to see.
Okay.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah.
That's all completely normal. But the factory is now running 24/7. And the Bloomberg tracker that we've been relying on says the Model 3 has in fact cracked 2,500 cars per week.
Wow.
And this week, 2,688 Model 3s allegedly left the building. So, flushed with that success, Tesla has, of course, made a new prediction.
Yeah, right.
And it'll be 6,000 cars a week by June. So, watch that space. And there haven't been any delays. The months-long delivery delay for Model 3 isn't a delay, it's a time shift.
That's ridiculous. Like, take it upon Silicon Valley to come up with a term, another word for delay.
Yeah. It's a time shift. It's just Elon speak.
He's a spin master.
Yeah, we mentioned last week that he was going to be interviewed by This Morning program on CBS. It was last Thursday night our time, and he actually came up with the time shift rather than a delay. But he does admit that there's too much automation in the factory, so he plans to take some of the robots out.
This is
be more human being type people.
Right.
Fewer robots.
Right. This doesn't make a lot of sense from a modern day production professionalism.
So what, is he just kicking the robots out onto the street? Like,
I think he's asking.
Walking around.
He's asking them to leave.
Jobless.
I think he's worried about the AI thing.
Yeah.
He thinks they're going to take over.
But like creating a whole generation of homeless robots.
Yeah.
It's just.
Well, that's it. He's just dumping them. There's no halfway house.
Oh.
Just straight out.
Yeah.
Poor robots.
On the outskirts of town.
How to adjust. All right. Well, aside from those down and out robots, Matt.
Yes.
You have crawled all over the new 12th generation Corolla.
I have.
Our hands are a little bit tied and we can't talk about the drive experience, much and all as you have driven the car. We can't do that just yet, but I reckon it looks good. It's sitting on new chassis. There'll be hybrid drivetrains in each model variant.
Correct.
Tell us all about it.
Well, what I can't tell you is the drive experience, as you said, that's under embargo until a later date.
I thought you were going to say, what I can't say is it's great.
The thought did cross my mind. No, but a lot of the things that you would expect a Corolla to not be so good at have actually changed with this new generation. It looks fantastic, and the interior is like up there among the best in the class.
Yes.
There are some really nice finishes, some nice materials. It's thoughtful. It's well laid out.
I've got two questions.
Okay.
So the interior, that screen looks so big that it looks like it's obstructing your vision. It looks as big as the windscreen. Is it in real life?
Well, it's an 8-inch screen, and that'll be standard.
It's really high.
Standard
in
across
all
the
of them,
range.
8-inch screen. Wow.
So the higher spec ones we expect will have sat-nav.
Yep.
And the lower spec ones will still have the same screen but not running a sat-nav system.
Yep.
None will have CarPlay at launch because there's some issues with Australian configuration.
All right.
Which, is a bit of an issue, really. I mean, they're marketing this car as a youthful, fun, ambitious adventurers or something. There's their tagline for the youngsters that they want to get to. But you've got to have connectivity for youngsters. That's what they want.
Yes.
But otherwise, they're also having an interesting tack, as you say, with the drivetrain program that they'll roll out. There's going to be 3 models of this new Corolla hatch, 3 different variants.
Yep.
And each of those variants will come with the choice of a 2-litre normally aspirated petrol engine, 4-cylinder, or a 1.8 litre hybrid, the same hybrid that you get in a Prius.
The current Prius.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're going to have one that's going to use, let's say, less than 4 litres per 100 Ks.
Amazing. Yeah.
And theoretically, you could get one below $25,000.
Yeah.
Which is no prices have been confirmed yet.
Yep.
That's going to happen in August. But
Yep.
if you join the dots and you look at that and you go, well, $25,000 for a car that uses 4 litres per 100 and does everything that a little hatchback should.
With an 8-inch screen.
Yeah.
And it feels like the likes of Mazda 3 has been, really putting it up to the Corolla, and it's sort of been not resting on its laurels, but it's been accepted as the world's best-selling
Yep.
hatch and car and whatever. And Toyota's finally gone, I think we better get ahead of this curve because the writing's on the wall and they look like they're delivering.
There's no denying that this is one of their biggest investment programs. They've put heaps of money into this. Obviously, the new platform allows them to amortize costs across a different range of models. But what it does is it allows them to spend money on engines and things. So they've developed this new engine with direct injection, and it's got a new CVT transmission with a gear that actually, it's got a first gear, a proper first gear.
Yes.
So you take off from a line, and then after you run out of revs, it goes to rubber bands.
Fantastic.
So it's a really clever thing. So
Can I just ask though, what the hell is going on with the back of it?
What do you mean?
Look at the bottom.
Yeah, I know.
It sort of sticks out.
Okay,
What about the car?
So one thing about the tailgate is it's made of resin. So it's a steel frame with a resin over the top of it. And it looks, I think I've said this in my video, which isn't up yet, but it looks more European than a lot of European cars.
There's a bit of opal around the back of it, isn't there?
Yes, yeah. In particularly in the high spec one with the little spoiler on the back.
Okay.
It looks like an Opel OPC Astra, but maybe a little bit tamer.
Yeah.
Righto.
Look, I think Corolla really has its work cut out for it because that i30 is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, good point.
Even though Mazda 3 is ancient now, next gen is probably going to pop out 2019, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, and that'll be amazing too. So,
You'll have to wait and see what I thought of it.
Now, speaking of
month.
amazing, Richard, you've been at the other end of the spectrum in terms of the Toyota Lexus world, and you've been up on the top shelf in the Lexus division,
top
the LS.
shelf,
Tell us
standing
all
on my
about
tippy toes,
that.
reaching up to the top
And
shelf.
look, I posed the question: why would someone choose a Lexus LS rather than the usual suspects, which might come from Germany and the big three makers there? So tell us about the car, and then give us the what's different bit.
Very good question. The Lexus LS is the flagship Lexus range. It retails or lists for about $195,000.
Cheap.
It's
cheap by class standards.
Well, that's the thing. Now that's one of that leads me into why get it and at $195,000 you're really only butting into the very bottom of the S-Class Mercedes-Benz S-Class range.
Yep.
Yet this car comes with everything.
Sure.
It's so well equipped. So, it sounds ridiculous to say that a $200,000 car is good value, but it is in terms of its segment rivals.
And that's a bit of an historical thing with the LS, hasn't it? Right
Absolutely.
from day dot, it's always been undercutting those big three pretty substantially.
Absolutely. Look, even in terms of its maintenance and running costs, its warranty, its servicing, it's going to be, you're going to find that it's going to be more affordable than an S-Class or an A8 or a 7 Series.
And there's all that suck-up service that goes with it as well, yeah? So
Yep.
when you buy the car, they come and hold your hand and take the car away and then bring it back and all that stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
And look,
tickets to the
with
footy.
being part of the Toyota family, it comes also with that reputation of reliability. So look, that's one of the reasons. The second reason is the interior. S-Classes, 7 Series are very nice, but the interior of the LS is decadent to the point of being a bit alien.
Oh, wow.
There's hand
So
cut.
you're right at home.
Yeah, totally at home. It's got what's called a Kiriko hand-cut glass, which is sort of lines the door, and hand pleating in the doors. Chairs which fold almost flat like a business class lounge seat.
So when the kids are in the back and they break that glass, there'll just be blood on the floor.
Blood everywhere.
Wow.
But being a Toyota fan, it'd be easy to clean.
Easy to clean.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
practical. Yeah.
And look, the third reason why I think I'd buy it, a reason to buy it over maybe one of the traditional rivals, is that it's not boring.
Yeah.
It's the front of it is really brash.
Yeah.
And the original designer came up with that spindle grille because he felt that the key to Lexus's survival was not being boring.
Yes.
So, I mean, we were talking about yesterday about how that spindle grille is now becoming, a bit cookie cutter in
A little
terms
bit,
of
I
all
agree,
the different
yes.
models. But
Yep.
I think that has saved Lexus.
Well, it was Akio Toyota, wasn't it, who said, what do you stand for? And everybody in the room from Lexus just looked at him blankly and, oh, that's a great question. We'll get back to you.
Yeah.
And he demanded that they come up with a point of difference, and really it's design and excitement through design that has been their thing.
And it's huge. In the US, Lexus is the second biggest seller in terms of prestige vehicles. It goes Benz, Lexus, BMW, then Audi's third. And in the US as well, 50% of global US sales are sold in the US.
Yeah, right.
So,
there you go.
it's going well.
It's crazy.
Speaking of vehicular excellence, now some Winton words worth listening to.
Life's a journey, and for over a century, Winton's been helping Australians enjoy the ride. Behind the wheel of a Winton, you're comfortably in control of the most efficient, enjoyable, and brilliantly engineered car in the world. In fact, from class-leading luxury and performance cars to light trucks, heavy haulers, and agricultural equipment, all supported by our no-haggle, lifetime warranty and industry-leading service, Winton covers all the bases. Winton, Australian with a world of difference.
Friends, it grounds you, doesn't it? It brings you back to
It does.
Forget this hoity-toity,
fancy hand pleating.
Yeah. Winton knows how to build a car.
They do.
And the person who knows most about how Winton builds a car, of course, is Frosty.
Here?
Frosty Chops.
Is he here?
Look,
Is that him there?
I'll fill you in.
No,
I'll
not.
fill you in. He's the head of corporate and government relations at Winton Motor Company. Frosty Chops. Now that most of the dust has settled on the broadcasting debacle, otherwise known as the Commonwealth Games closing ceremony, we can exclusively reveal Frosty, in his own time, has been a behind-the-scenes peacemaker between Joanna Griggs on the 7 Network and Tracy Holmes at the ABC. It's a big feud, but he's the ultimate schmoozer. He's calming the waters there. Full disclosure, he's an advisor to Jack Morton Worldwide, which staged the opening and closing ceremony. So there is a vested interest.
And just to refresh listeners' memories, there were no athletes at it.
That's right. And it was actually his idea not to show the athletes entering the stadium in the live feed. And in the broadcast, you can see glimpses of the back of Frosty's head behind Com Games chairman Peter Beattie and Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk. Even the best slip up from time to time, but we all know Frosty's Teflon coated and he's determined to get things back on an even keel. He'll get there. But his hands are full at the moment. He's busy. He's smoothing the waters between those two feuding parties, and
he's very good at it.
He's doing a great job.
You know the combi that was in the opening ceremony?
Oh yeah,
wasn't a combi. It was a Winton. That's
was a Winton.
That's what I heard.
That's it.
Even I didn't get
Volkswagen
that.
stole the design.
They rebodied it.
That's amazing.
Well, Volkswagen originally stole the design for the combi from Winton.
Now, speaking of a body on something that you wouldn't expect, Ford Australia has re-entered the Supercars Championship with the Mustang.
Yes.
It's, I think, a shot in the arm for a category that's still on pretty shaky ground. And it's interesting to see a coupe body over the new Gen 2 control chassis. I'm someone who hasn't paid a lot of attention to supercars in recent years because it just hasn't been my cup of tea. They kind of go round and round, not a lot of excitement. For what it's worth, this has really caused me to sit up and take notice. I'll definitely have a look when they line up in Adelaide for the first time next year. What do you guys think? Richard, where are you?
I think it's great. I mean, I've had a bit to do with V8 supercars over the years, making programs for them. And look, even for me being really, really close to it and enjoying it, this is exactly what it needed. And it's possibly just in time.
Yeah, it could be.
If we can get something with a Chevy or a Holden badge out there, I'm going to say a Camaro or something like that, that would be good too.
Well, to me, it's possibly connected that the development of the twin turbo V6 for the Commodore came to a screeching halt.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, Ford's confirmed its re-emergence with a V8. So that seems connected to me.
Good move.
But Matt, what do you think?
I think it'll just be great to have cars that you can buy in there.
Yeah, good point.
Having a Nissan Altima running around. Altima hasn't been on sale since 16 or something.
Yeah.
And it's still running around.
Yeah.
What's the go with that? How can they justify that as a racing championship entrant when you can't buy the car.
Well, Mitch, one of our oversteer buddies, wrote a good story about, what else would you like to see grid up? And, of course, it was, the Stinger, and he wanted the GTR back in there, Godzilla making a reappearance. That'd be a more appropriate.
What about a Mini?
Nissan.
Chuck a Mini in there.
Mini in there, fantastic. Whatever you like. An original Mini.
Yeah.
I think,
What about the 2018 Winton?
Oh,
That'd be good.
Look, I can't say a word at this stage.
But
certain people have dropped pretty big hints.
Wait there.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
we can't.
We're under embargo with
That
one.
would certainly blow the whole thing
out of the bag.
Can't say a word. But speaking of Ford, Ford's confirmed the good news that they're going to bring in the new Fiesta in ST, guys. Brilliant car. But the not so good news is they've canned the rest of the Fiesta range. So, Richard, you were saying, look, it's a great little 1 litre triple.
It is,
the base Fiesta.
Yeah, the Fiesta
We're not going to
Sport.
see it because people here don't want to buy them.
No, look, that's the issue. So as you said, Ford's going to be bringing back the Fiesta, but only in that top, more hardcore version, the ST. And it's a shame. The ST is fantastic, but the Fiesta Sport is brilliant. 3-cylinder, 1 litre engine. It's got a little growl to it. It's fun to drive. It reminds me of the Volkswagen Up, actually.
Right.
Yeah. So that's going to be a shame, but I'm glad that we're getting the ST.
As an Up owner, I can agree with that. It is. It's a charming little 1 litre car, and I'm the same. I feel sad that Ford couldn't make a stick of it in Australia. I mean, Fiesta is the biggest selling car in England.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's not like there's no demand for it elsewhere.
In right-hand drive.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where, they're selling them where people are buying them, and that's at the ST level.
But for what it's worth, I think the ST represents that benchmark or threshold, call it what you will, where anything much above a Fiesta ST in most urban Australian environments is a waste.
Yes.
If you're after a sporty, fun drive.
Yeah.
The Fiesta ST, at least in the outgoing version, I found you could enjoy just selecting first gear and accelerating from one set of traffic lights to the next. That was a fun experience because the gear change was so nice and the engine's so zippy. Something as simple as that made a journey really enjoyable. But it's something you wouldn't get if you're in your thumping big AMG or you're in an enormous GTR or whatever. So I think it's just such a special car.
But the good news is that it'll still be a 3-cylinder. The next Fiesta ST is a 3-cylinder engine, still with a fantastic manual transmission. No word on an auto yet, which, I mean, if they had an auto and if it came in... Is it coming in 5 doors this time around?
I'm not sure.
Hopefully, because the 2-door thing is one of the things that stops people buying them as well.
Right,
so you would hope. In the US, they've had a 5-door ST before, and hopefully that'll happen down under.
I just think it's so nimble and light and responsive. It's such a joy to drive, and it doesn't cost the earth. It's a great car. So it's terrific that it's continuing, but a shame, I suppose, that tastes have changed to the point where the 1 litre base car won't be around. Now, Matt, yet another vehicle that you've been steering recently is the Merc X-Class. Now, there's been a lot of chat about this particular ute. Your video that we've got up on the site and on YouTube is generating pretty heated comment. So, is it a glorified Navara? Is the Navara a better buy? Or should we wait for an X-Class V6? Or is it all of the above? What's going on?
I would say it's all of the above,
right,
to a degree.
Okay.
Yes, it is a glorified Navara, but there's been enough work done to justify a new badge. Yes, a Navara is a better buy because if you're buying the 4-cylinder version, then you're basically getting the same vehicle with a different body.
Yep.
And so that leaves me with the last bit is the V6 will be worth the wait.
Yeah, right.
So I came away from it thinking that, it was most of the way to a pretty competitive ute, but not quite what I was expecting it would be.
Righto.
So with the V6, I think it will push the boundaries a little further.
Yeah.
But then again, you've got Amarok this week announced with an even more powerful engine again, so 200 kilowatts on overboost. So it's going to be a manic machine, that one. But there's no doubt that end of the market, if you're willing to spend, say, 60 grand, 65 grand on a 4-cylinder Mercedes, what are you willing to spend on a V6?
Yeah, precisely.
It's getting up there.
Does it feel like it's from the parts bin? It's got the C-Class steering wheel and it's got this, that and the other. Or does it feel composed and all together?
I would say it's 3/4 of the way to cohesive.
Okay.
So there are bits of it,
But the
where-
glue it's coming apart.
If I came out of an operation and the surgeon said that, I would be saying, take
I thought you said you did come out of an operation and the surgeon said that.
Are we going to see an X63
No,
AMG or
no,
a 43?
Nope.
Oh,
Nope, that's
what?
not happening. There is no way that's happening,
That's
according to
good.
Mercedes
That would be good,
at
though.
this point in time.
And there was-
I would say that there's depends on the reaction.
There was a lot of subjective commentary around, I don't like the look of this or I don't
Yep.
like the look of that, as well as the more flippant, it's just a Navara or whatever. But on that, I thought the back of the car, I
Yes.
love it. I think
Yeah.
it's really beautiful. There
Yeah.
are a lot of people saying it was too simple and looked kind of
Nice.
Chinese,
Yeah.
kind of, I love it. I think it looks beautiful.
I think
Yeah.
once they go and find the aftermarket sticker that has a big X-Class across the back of it, then that could change. But there's definitely, you can tell that it's a wider vehicle by looking at the back of it. So
Yep.
the body's been widened as well as the tray and the track.
Yeah.
So you can fit a full-size Aussie pallet between the wheel arches,
Yeah,
which
which
you
is-
can't in a Navara.
But you can in an Amarok,
That's
can't
right.
you?
Yeah. And because the Amarok isn't made to the same regulative specifications that all the other Thai utes are, that's where the Mercedes gets its extra width as well, because it
Gotcha.
doesn't have to be sold in Thailand.
Yeah.
So
But I think those little styling tweaks that accentuate that width,
Yeah.
they're a masterclass. I
Yeah.
think it's really good in
Yeah.
its simplicity.
yeah, there's no doubt about it. It looks better in person than it does in pictures.
Cool.
So
Well, look, speaking of simplicity, now a word from the youngsters with petrol and electricity coursing through their veins at Oversteer.
When you're done listening to these old farts ramble on,
Can I tell a story?
come and listen to the Oversteer podcast, where we talk about the stuff that kids love.
Story time with Mitchy Boy. Yeah, because if I don't try, I won't fail.
Like,
come
you know
on,
how you
mate.
roll into a petrol station and you're like,
Would you rather be designated driver for a group of kids on a sugar high or a group of super drunk adults?
Yes, the Oversteer podcast has everything, and you can find it on the Carsguide website, iTunes, and where all good podcasts are sold.
Cheeky.
They are
Cheeky
the
Charlies.
bane of my
is that what that
existence.
music at the start was about? Those guys?
Yeah, they graffiti the toilets. I hate them.
They break things. They break things. They're clumsy from time to time. All right.
One's got a moustache.
Now, timeliness.
I wouldn't call it that.
A very timely kind of podcast in the sense that the 19th, which I make as tomorrow, is D-Day for... 19th
hang on.
today. Barbara's frantically gesturing towards me.
To a non-existent watch.
I beg your pardon.
Hang on.
I think it's overnight tonight. So
Yes.
it'll be our nighttime, our time. GM Korea is hanging in the balance. So today, in fact, is D-Day for GM striking a strategic agreement with some of the stakeholders, and that's everything from unions to banks to the South Korean government. And Holden is technically GM's representative in the business and holds a seat on the board. And already one of 4 Korean plants is set for closure at the end of May. And most people in the know are saying there's no reason to maintain manufacturing in a high-cost country. Witness Holden stopping manufacture here. March sales for GM Korea were down 58%, and the implications for Holden are not good. Does this feel like, okay, we've sold off Opel, we've sold off Vauxhall, we're probably going to shut down GM Korea, and aside from Holden's involvement, it's just this pattern here, right?
Holden will leave Australia by the end of the year. That's McLean.
I'm not calling BS on that. I think you could be close. I don't know whether it'll be the end of this year, but
They'll make an announcement, I reckon.
I think looking at the indicators, things aren't looking very peachy.
No, well, the product lineup, despite the much talked about onslaught of new models, product lineup at the moment, as we've said before, we won't labour the point, but it's really not firing. And the Commodore imported version doesn't seem to be capturing people's imagination.
Yep.
So some big pieces in that strategic plan aren't doing what they're intended to do.
And the models that come out of Korea, like Barina,
Yeah.
not a huge player. Spark, not
No.
a big player.
Yeah.
Astra sedan, barely even noticeable
That's
on the
right.
road.
Correct.
Trax.
Yep.
Trax is maybe doing okay, but I mean, it's fighting in one of the busiest segments of the market, the small SUV segment.
And
Will they miss any of those cars?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. And Insignia and Astra sedan, Hatch now are owned by PSA or Peugeot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You start looking towards Detroit and you look for model replacements, and that causes the shiny bums in the corner office to think, why are we bothering with this Holden thing anymore? Why are we doing that?
You think about how much it would cost to run the operation in Australia, to have vehicles tooled to right-hand drive. There's no need for it.
Yeah.
We don't, like, Holden doesn't turn over enough profit to be able for them to go, oh yeah, that's totally worth investing that money into.
It's a jewel in the Asian crown. Not so much.
Oh, I'm seeing flags waving.
It's really sad, and I wish that hadn't have come out of my mouth, but I think that's what will happen.
Well, I think we can turn around and blame you when it does. That's easy.
Sorry.
Yeah. Now, we owe the listening audience some answers, because we did with myself and Mal and Crafty last week, went through some is it illegal questions. We had 4. And the first one, so we'll give you the answers. They're on the website as well. But is it illegal to drive in a bus lane? We know, and I wasn't keenly aware of this, there are 2 types. There's bus lanes, often called B lanes, and bus-only lanes. Right, you might think that's the same. They're not. No. In bus lanes, you can have a whole lot of stuff besides buses.
Yep.
Bicycles, taxis, hire car, plated hire cars and motorbikes. But in bus-only lanes, you're only allowed registered buses and coaches. Mm. But cars can go into either of them for up to 100 metres for changing lanes or to turn a corner. So you can for short distances, but no, it is illegal to drive in a bus lane unless you're one of those things.
One of the things I worry about is the cameras in bus lanes. Like, if I need to use a bus lane to turn left, what if I'm flashed?
What about the cameras?
I threw the ball up and you hit it.
Smack that one. That's probably out of the park.
It was out of the park.
I think you would have a good case saying I'm within 100 metres of that corner, and I think you'd be fine. So, is it illegal to drive one-handed? Yes.
What?
It is.
What about a manual?
You're up for between $425 and $531 and 3 to 4 demerit points, depending on where you are in the country, if you're caught driving one-handed.
What if you
Meaning you've got the 12 o'clock classic kind of one-hand position and one out the door. The police pull you over and go, you're driving one-handed. You're not, properly in control of that vehicle.
But I think we've all seen a policeman or two driving and also playing on a screen in front of them.
Wow. Officer Bob Speed, breaking the law.
Yeah. Well, it's a common occurrence. I see it all the time.
Now, is it illegal to have an open vessel containing alcohol in your car?
Yes.
Well, that depends on where you are.
Yeah.
Okay, so in Tasmania, ACT, WA and Queensland, yes. New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia, not really. In that there's no specific kind of reference to it in the road regulations.
You can't be the driver. You can't be the driver and have a box.
No, you cannot. But in the Northern Territory, it's kind of all bets are off. We don't even know.
If I'm the passenger,
let us know if you know.
I can get into a car with you, open a can of beer, and in the passenger seat, drink it.
Yes. Or you can have it open.
You can
have an open vessel containing alcohol in your car. There is nothing specifically to say that is illegal in New South Wales.
What if it was to touch
You could
my
bring
lips?
it within millimetres of your mouth, but I think when you start drinking it, that's probably a different thing. I don't know.
Why?
Could be another illegal story in there.
Yeah, is it illegal for your passenger drink?
So is it illegal to drive with one eye?
What if you only got one eye?
Is it illegal to drive with one eye?
Don't they do a sight test?
Monocular driving.
I'd say no.
I would say no as well.
Yeah, you're right. It's not. So there you go.
Nope. But
is the
you
answer.
don't see in 3 dimensions if you've got one eye, do you? Everything's flat, like a piece of paper.
Well, you don't have that triangulation. You can't judge distance as well. But our authorities don't care.
Jeez.
You can drive. Now, just as we're getting close to the finish line, in our garage, Matt, what are you going to nominate as your primary drive for the week just past?
Audi RS5.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What do you make of that car?
I jumped up and down, happy dance at the start, and handed back the keys today thinking, oh, what a disappointment.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
What were the big disappointments?
The engine.
Okay.
It's the biggest disappointment.
All right.
The handling is the second biggest disappointment.
Wow.
Nice.
I was just not a fan. It just didn't gel with me one bit. Coming out of the old RS5,
I know.
Big V8, massive noise. This thing's like this quiet little peaceful mouse in the corner. It doesn't ride over bumps very well. It doesn't steer very well. It doesn't do anything very well apart from look good.
Gee. Well, apparently it doesn't like you very much either.
But
you now.
look, man, I would have one in my driveway. The thing's gorgeous.
It looks brilliant. What
looking-
colour?
looking-
What colour?
It was the Nardo Grey, that
Nardo
the
Grey.
battleship with the carbon pack. It was sweet.
Looking forward to your review.
Richard?
No review, no.
Richard,
no
you've,
review, right?
you've had the backside planted in.
Yes, my backside's sore actually because it's been planted in a Jeep Cherokee.
Okay.
And look, it very hard seats. Hang on.
Oh, I take it.
Do you know what? I haven't been in a Jeep Cherokee.
Backside's sore.
It's a Jeep Compass.
A Jeep Compass.
Yeah,
Righto.
Backside's still sore.
Okay.
Look, I've been sitting in a Jeep Compass. I went to the launch and drove it at Australian launch. Very, very hard seats, but I really like it. It's like a mini version of a Jeep Grand Cherokee. It's got the same grille and the same sort of shape. I really like it. I like the way it's got more off-road capability than a lot of city SUVs. I also like that it's got little Easter eggs around it as well. There are 4 or 5. I don't know. Do you want to know where they are?
No.
Or do you
Don't
want-
well,
I'll tell
how
you what
about
they are.
one?
Okay.
Just one. Your favourite one.
My favourite one? The lizard. Oh, no, the Morse code. No, there's
now
a
you've
Loch
gone
Ness
2.
monster. There's a Loch Ness monster as well.
Okay.
There's
and they're
3.
hidden. They're hidden.
So
They're
there's
hidden. So
and
there's
there's
a
a-
Loch Ness monster
There's a Loch
in
Ness
there and
monster,
a lizard.
the lizard,
So don't tell
and the
us
Morse
where they are.
code.
Tell us what they are.
So there's a little lizard, and it's raised, and it's hiding on the.
Don't tell us where. I just said don't
Okay.
tell us
The Loch
where.
Ness monster's the weirdest one. Like that
Okay.
is not because you look at it and you
If
go.
you start
"Crikey."
telling us where it is,
And the Morse code. I think it actually
Morse
is SOS.
Ah,
or it might be
yeah.
Jeep. I can't
I
remember
think
what it is.
I think I know where that is.
It's the 5 pillars of Jeep, which is, like, is it gluttony, lust? No, that's the
This
7.
has gone.
seven
This has gone
definitions.
somewhere I did not
It's the
expect
5
it to
pillars
go.
of the Jeep company.
So I think the guys at Jeep who are doing interior design are having
Yeah.
too much fun.
Too
They
much
are
acid.
having fun, don't
Yeah.
they? And they, in developing each model, they go out and do the rock climbing, they go
Yeah.
rock hopping
Yeah.
at Moab and all that kind of stuff. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Crazy.
Oh,
I've
those
been
guys.
driving the Volkswagen Golf GTI original, which is such a fun car.
Three
In
door.
the sports setting, put
Yep.
the transmission into manual. It's really quick and responsive. It's everything you'd hope a sporty Golf is. And you do away with some of the things like you actually put the key in the ignition and
Yeah.
put it in to turn the car on. And it's fine. It's great. Really enjoyed it.
No
Lovely
adaptive
car.
dampers, but I came away from the launch of that GTI original thinking I wouldn't spend a cent
More.
on a
Yeah,
GTI.
I agree with you.
How much
I
is
agree
it?
with you.
How much is it?
40 grand.
40.
That's good.
Yeah.
Although 39,990 i30N.
A 40 grand drive away.
Oh, okay.
But it's a 3-door.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then there are the 7 deadly sins connected with it as well.
There's a
so
lizard in there too.
Now, okay,
Yeah,
with
not
that,
supposed
we
to.
have in fact reached the finish line. Thank you, Matt
Thank you.
and Richard.
Thank you.
And thanks to our producer, Barbara, always keeping the levels level. They say opposites attract, so we're guessing he'll soon meet someone good-looking, intelligent, and polite. And thank you for listening. Please let us know what you think of the program. Search for Carsguide on Facebook and Instagram, and use the hashtag CGPodcast or email us at comments@carsguide.com.au. Would be great if you could spare a minute to rate and review us on iTunes. Helps let others know about the podcast. Thank you. I hope you can join us next week. Until then, a question. What do you call a Daewoo Nabira at the top of a hill? A miracle.